What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 30 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Saturday, December 14th, 2024. I'm your host, Zach Malamud. Yes, our first Saturday episode. Before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's get things going with the news out of the Bronx. Devin Williams traded to the New York Yankees in exchange for left-handed pitcher Nestor Cortez, as well as infield prospect Caleb Durbin. Yankees get Devin Williams, a lockdown closer who was really strong last year, dealt with some injury, but only 21 innings pitched, and in those innings, a 1.25 ERA in the end. So he's a lockdown closer and something that the Yankees were really looking for. Yes, Luke Weaver, a lot of fans fell in love last season with the Yankees closer, but I think he's going to be a high leverage guy now, and that's okay for the Yankees. They know they have a guy who can get out of jams. You're looking at a guy like Williams, though, to really just lock things down and close it in the ninth inning. So I think that's going to be a big move for the Yankees, and making sure that this pitching staff is really correct and really strong. The Yankees have done a good job of that so far in this offseason. Obviously getting Max Fried in there, plus now they get the closer in Devin Williams. So the Yankees rotation, their pitching staff overall, their bullpen, really strong so far, and obviously still some ways to go. Maybe pick up some other guys out in the bullpen. Tim Hill, a guy who's being named right now as an option for the Yankees, and bringing him back. So we'll see what happens, but Devin Williams comes in, big move for the Yankees, and obviously a long way to go here in free agency. But what's next now for this Yankees team? Is I think the biggest thing, looking for bats. Of course, they have some positions still to fill. First base, one position in the outfield with Dominguez and Aaron Judge taking up the other two, as well as a third base that's wide open right now. So third base, first base, outfield, which way can they really go? I think Jazz Chisholm's going to move to second base. If they cannot find a replacement at third base, yeah, Jazz will stay at third base in my mind. But the Yankees will probably look for a better option there. Been talks right now about Alex Bregman. I don't know how Yankees fans really feel about that. Of course, the Houston Astro in Alex Bregman. So bringing him in, I think the worry about that is his bat and how it fits Yankee Stadium. And it's been a bit of a struggle in the last couple of years for Bregman. I think the Crawford boxes in Houston really help out a guy like Alex Bregman. I don't think the left field portion in Yankee Stadium does the same, but a Gold Glover nonetheless. So we'll see what happens. And obviously the Yankees' main focus, it seems, when it comes to the bats is defense. Getting the defense, and in this lineup, they need strong defense. So there's options there. And another option is Cody Bellinger, who the Yankees have talked to the Cubs about. And I think based on the deal yesterday, Kyle Tucker goes to the Cubs in exchange for a lot. Yankees weren't willing to give up a lot, and Luis Hill was one of the names thrown around. Yankees were like, nope, no thank you. The AL Rookie of the Year and a guy who's under contract till 2029, it didn't really make too much sense for the Yankees to give him up. So they stick with Luis Hill and stick with this rotation here, and don't go for Kyle Tucker. Yes, that addition would have been great, but then you talk about going into the same situation as last year. You get Juan Soto. You're hoping that he re-signs at the end of the year. He's on that one-year deal. Of course, Soto does not re-sign. He goes to the Mets, and then you look at Kyle Tucker, it's going to be the same situation, and he doesn't seem like a guy who's really going to look at the Yankees and re-sign at the end of next year. Obviously, things could end up changing, but was not looking likely. It was looking like he was going to test free agency no matter what. So Yankees don't take that risk. They keep Heel for the next 5 years or so and focus on that. But they have done a good job in the starting pitching rotation, and Max Fried being that second guy. It's been a good week for the Yankees overall, and really plugging these holes in the lineup that is the next part. So Christian Walker, another name thrown around, but I think the next move is going to be Cody Bellinger. I think the Cubs are going to be more willing to do a deal for Bellinger now that they have Tucker in the outfield. So we'll see what happens, but a long way to go in free agency as the Yankees look for more options now, looking to plug in those holes in the lineup. But on the other side of New York, the New York Mets really just it's kind of mind-boggling to me. They've done absolutely nothing since the signing of Juan Soto. They need to look for more, in my mind, in the starting pitching area. Sean Manaea, excuse me, is the name at the top of the list for David Stearns, and looking at him and bringing him back in the season that he had last year. But I don't see that there's much of a rush for it right now for the New York Mets. Yes, they've been reported for some guys. Manaea is one of them. Roki Sasaki is another name. They said they're probably out when it comes to a guy like Corbin Burns. Not going to pay that price tag for him to be their ace. So, I mean, where are they going from here? They lose out on Garrett Crochet, who goes to the Red Sox, and a hefty deal in terms of prospects that the Red Sox gave up for him, but Mets weren't willing to do that. And in the end, I think the Mets have to plug those holes in the starting pitching rotation. Yes, they got guys in Kodai Senga who can maybe come in and maybe be an ace, but obviously the injury problems from last year definitely give you a bit of concern there. But then you have other guys that they have brought in, Clay Holmes, as well as Frankie Montas. But Frankie Montas, a guy who had a sub-4 ERA, yes, they could try and make him into a Luis Severino or Jose Quintana from last year, but that's not easy to make a guy into a sub-3 ERA. And then you look at Frankie Montas overall, and he's not going to be really the second or third guy. I think, yeah, maybe he could be the third guy, but it's not going to be really too positive, I would say, for the Mets if they go that route. And Clay Holmes, a pitcher who hasn't started a game since 2018. So, yeah, you're expecting him to have his stuff and maybe go 5 innings, but he's definitely not going to be your second or third starter heading into the year. So they got a lot of work to do, and I think Manaea getting that done is the biggest deal for them. There's also talks on the Pete Alonso front. So, but my thing on the Mets and Pete Alonso is you're looking at a guy who's he's homegrown and everything, and the Mets would say, yeah, he's probably not worth that $200 million or so that he's asking for. Maybe he's worth the 180. It does not look like they're willing to pay it right now. Anyway, so I don't know what's going to be the deal with Pete Alonso. If they don't give him the 200, I think he'll end up probably telling them to kick rocks and just go somewhere else. But we'll see what happens. They have a lot of work to do. I know they got Juan Soto, and obviously the positives there for the Mets, but they really need to touch things up because they want to be a contender now. They want to be in the World Series this year. So when you look at that, I don't know what they're really waiting for, and losing out on guys left and right as they're watching the starting pitching market kind of dwindle here. We'll see what happens with the Mets, but I think Manaea is the biggest thing on Stearns' mind right now. Have to lock him down and hopefully get him as your ace with the season that he had last season. So we'll see what happens with the New York Mets, but obviously a long way to go and some moves to be made on this December 14th. We still got time till spring training. So hopefully the Mets and for their fans are able to change that and figure something out when it comes to the starting pitching as well as the bullpen in the end. But we'll see what happens. That'll do it for episode 30 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malamud. Thanks for watching. Talk to you all on Monday.